Africa's digital sector does have many young, aspiring entrepreneurs. What advice would you give to Africa's tech startups and to the governments that wish to foster their growth?
Great question. Thank you very much, and thanks for having me. I think the African youth are not a market segment. They are the market. And that's the starting point. In 2030, 4 out of 10 youth in the world are going to be African youth. Already 60% of our population is below the age of 25. And the key issue really of our time as government leaders, as business leaders, is how to create youth employment. Because if we don't create jobs, what should be a demographic dividend could turn out to be the biggest demographic disaster that Africa has to contend with in the next couple of years. So really the advice for tech startups, I think we have to start from the fact that the underlying digital infrastructure, for the most part, has been built. Our colleagues in the mobile industry, where we come from, have done a good job at improving connectivity generally. We ourselves have built a Cape Town to Cairo digital railroad, with this ubiquitous fiber network that we have built, which spans almost 100,000 kilometers, connecting every African country along that route. So there is infrastructure that is there to support tech entrepreneurs, but that's not enough. I think that the first thing that I would say to any tech startup is find a real world problem. It sounds very trite, it sounds very simple, but find a real world problem and ask yourself, how can I do this cheaper? How can I do this faster? How can I do this more effectively using digital technologies? So within our own ecosystem as Cassava technologies that we have built, which spans, as I said, fiber, connectivity, data centers, cloud and cybersecurity, renewable energy, we always ask the question, what problem are you solving for who are you solving? And that's really what these tech startups need to hear. The second thing that I would say is find strategic partnerships. Find people that have walked the road, that have succeeded, and partner with them, whether they are local partners, they are regional partners, or they are global partners. We're seeing a lot of global companies coming to Africa and trying to support these tech ecosystems. The third thing that I would, the third piece of advice that I would give is really like any other business. Don't fall in love with the product. Fall in love with the customer. Because I think a lot of the young tech startups and the founders become enamored with their products, and they forget that it's meant to actually solve a real world problem. And then last but not least, I always tell the tech startup entrepreneurs that I mentor that ideas don't move mountains. Bulldozers move mountains. So if you may have a great idea, but it's not enough, can you find an ecosystem that you can work with in order for you to be able to succeed? So really it's about finding things, as the president said, it's about inclusion. It's a digitally connected future that should leave no African behind, whether that African is in the rural areas, in the peri-urban areas, in the urban areas. For the governments, and Namibia is an example where they've built this innovation tech system, I think the issue is really about ecosystems. It's not one particular solution. It's an ecosystem that includes the digital infrastructure, it includes financing, it includes mentorship, it includes partnerships, it includes access to connectivity, and it also recognizes that the real challenge today, everybody talks about access, but the real challenge is the challenge of usage. The access usage gap in Africa is one of the biggest. And that really is what, for us, is the big problem for our day as private sector players. How do we reduce the cost of access in order to improve people being able to use these internet technologies that are now available? If we can do that in a public-private partnership, then I think that we've got a way to starting to have these young entrepreneurs succeeding more often. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Hadi, and bringing to the core, to the center, the human element of all of this, which is your customers, which is understanding the problem that you are solving for, which then technology can assist. Thank you for participating. Thank you again to our distinguished, honorable panelists, and see you at lunch. Thank you.
Thank you very much.